We navigate our lives by trusting a psychological safety net. We rely on gravity to pull down, objects to remain stationary, and the laws of physics to behave predictably. This sense of order is the foundation of our entire understanding of the world. Most of us consider ourselves rational. We lean on logic and skepticism to filter out the absurd, assuming that if something doesn't fit the rules of our reality, it simply cannot happen. In 1996, an experienced hiker and recent college graduate headed into the deep woods of Northern California. He was a man who understood the wilderness, seeking the quiet, stress-relieving isolation found only at the base of the massive redwoods. Years earlier, a teenager sat in a basement with a newly unboxed Ouija board. Raised with mild Christian values but possessing no actual spiritual belief, he viewed the occult merely as a curiosity, a harmless game played with plastic and cardboard. Elsewhere, a pair of childhood friends set out for a weekend fishing trip in the Scottish Highlands. Armed with standard two-way radios, they were prepared for a mundane, relaxing getaway far from the stress of work and home. These individuals walked into their respective environments with their worldviews intact. Within hours, the logic they relied on would fail, leaving them to face events that their understanding of the universe could not explain. When the brain encounters something impossible, it triggers cognitive dissonance. This defense mechanism desperately attempts to force terrifying, inexplicable events into safe, logical boxes. While walking back, the fisherman heard his friend sobbing over the radio to a girl named Lydia. He immediately filed the experience away as a joke, assuming an elaborate performance. The teenager experienced a similar internal struggle. As light bulbs exploded and doors swung open, he convinced himself it was merely a severe electrical fault and unexpected drafts. Deep in the redwoods, our hiker heard a massive, hollow knocking sound coming from the high canopy. He decided it was a black bear building a den among the branches, using a known animal behavior to mask an entirely alien sound. This skepticism acts as a shield. By rationalizing the impossible, the human mind temporarily avoids the paralyzing effects of absolute terror. Eventually, the brain reaches an exhaustion point. There is a moment where every logical explanation fails, and the witness is forced to accept a new, terrifying reality. The fisherman reached his camp to find his friend was fine, and his radio had been dead the whole time. The logic of a prank died when the friend revealed a secret. His girlfriend was pregnant, and they had privately chosen the name Lydia just 1 week prior. For the teenager, the breaking point was a physical force. He was pinned to his couch by an invisible weight, feeling a tangible, inhuman hatred that made it clear he had become the prey of something he couldn't see. In the forest, the hiker watched as the towering, leaning trees he had been studying began to move. They bent on unnatural joints, rising and falling with a fluid motion no tree could achieve. Those trunks were actually segmented legs. The canopy he had been watching was the body of a colossal insect, perfectly mimicking the forest around it until it chose to walk away. At this stage, the encounter shifts from a theoretical mystery to a lethal threat. The witness no longer wonders if they are mistaken. They are simply trying to survive a reality that has turned against them. As logic fails, higher brain function shuts down. The mind discards complex thought, leaving only raw animalistic panic. The teenager sprinted through a house where light bulbs shattered in his wake. He desperately tried to wake his family, but they remained in an inexplicable, comatose state, forcing him to hide under a blanket as the unseen presence continued its assault. In Texas, a man standing near a water tower saw a massive white creature peer around a shipping container. The sight triggered a primal wave of dread so intense it overrode his own plans for suicide, forcing him to flee as his biological survival instinct took control. When the boundaries of reality break, human intellect evaporates. We are reduced to a single basic imperative: move, hide, and survive. For those who live through these encounters, the physical danger is only the beginning of a much longer struggle. Returning to society means entering a world that fundamentally cannot believe your experience. The witness carries a truth that the people around them would dismiss as a delusion or a lie. The Redwood hiker spent years searching for answers on cryptid forums, eventually finding himself in the apartment of a man who claimed to talk to forest spirits for a fee. The absurdity of the situation only reinforced the isolation he felt. Knowing his story made him look as unreliable as the man trying to scam him. Another survivor, a camper who suffered a parasitic bite in a field, refused medical help even as his symptoms worsened. He lived in fear that if he told a doctor what he had seen, he would be committed to a psychiatric ward or treated as a laboratory specimen. This lack of validation creates a mental purgatory. Victims are left to second-guess their own senses, trapped in the memory of an event that no one else can see. These witnesses spend the rest of their lives carrying a truth that separates them from everyone they know. They survive the encounter, only to find themselves permanently alienated, living in a reality they can never again share with the rest of the world.